We begin tonight with breaking news. 2 San Antonio police officers hospitalized and in surgery after being shot on the northeast side.
And tonight, KENS 5 obtaining video of the scene as an officer raced in to rescue one of the officers who was down. Now, we want to warn you, some might find the video disturbing.
Now, in the video, you can see an officer crouched down behind a patrol vehicle with a long gun. As he remains there, you see another officer at the bottom right of the screen. It's hard to see here, but a third officer then rushes in and grabs one of the wounded officers, dragging them to safety. According to Police Chief William McManus, this was after all the gunfire came to an end.
Also tonight, Chopper 5 in the air. You can see ambulances transporting the 2 arrived at BAMC. And now to the scene of the shooting, a huge police presence as law enforcement swarmed the northeast side neighborhood. Tonight, the police chief saying his officers were lucky they were not killed.
All of this unfolded on the cul-de-sac between Alta Puerta and Amistad Pass in the Escalera subdivision. We have live team coverage tonight with Megan Reina at BAMC, but let's begin with Alicia Neaves at the scene of the shootout. Alicia?
Witnesses describe hearing at least 50 gunshots coming from down the street right behind me. They say they live near a gun range, so they weren't thinking anything of the gunfire at first, but knew something was wrong when it just didn't stop. I understand that the children of the neighborhood play in the cul-de-sac right outside the home where this all unfolded, and another neighbor corralled the children inside as soon as the scene started getting bloody. So let me show you the scene from about just an hour ago. Police were called to a home off of Alta Puerta and Amistad Pass for a family disturbance. 2 officers arrived at about the same time and discovered that a man came to that house to get his children and at some point started to argue with his wife. The chief said the man began to douse the house with gasoline, threatening to set the home on fire. As one officer stood in the street telling all of this information to dispatch, he was shot 3 times and fell down in the cul-de-sac. The other officer was also shot. The chief said what had happened was the man barricaded himself on the 2nd floor of the home and fired out of the window at the officers with a long gun. As the first officer remained laying in the street, the other was able to run back to his patrol car, grab his gun while still under fire, and then shoot back at the suspect. He was able to shield himself behind a neighbor's car when he could not move anymore. The chief said when more officers arrived on scene, they ran toward the gunfire and rescued the injured officers. By the time they did that, the suspect surrendered and was taken into custody. Chief McManus says these domestic calls are very volatile, very dangerous because of the emotion involved, just like what we saw tonight. He said they're lucky their officers weren't killed.
Officers don't know what they're going to encounter when they're out here, and the officers' actions are predicated on the actions of the person that they're dealing with. And in this case right here, this suspect was not shot, but very well could have been. But he was well protected from his position.
The chief said the suspect does not have a criminal history in Bexar County. His name is being withheld at this time, but we do know that he will face charges including attempted capital murder. We've also learned this is the 21st officer-involved shooting involving SAPD. To learn more about how each of the injured officers is doing tonight, let's send things over to KENS 5's Megan Reina. She joins us live from BAMC.
Well, Alicia, we know that those 2 officers at last check were still in surgery here at BAMC. Earlier when we got here to this scene, we saw a heavy police presence, several officers outside the ER, understandably wanting to know how their fellow officers are. We also have video of Chopper that shows the ambulances making their way here to BAMC to the ER. Now, Chief McManus says one of those officers was shot 3 times, 2 times in the lower extremities, 1 time in the upper extremity. This second officer was shot once in the upper extremity. Chief McManus says one officer had 7 years in the force, one had 2 years in the force. And while injuries are serious, McManus again saying that he is thankful they're alive.
But we're very fortunate tonight that we didn't have the 2 initial officers killed, and we didn't have the officers who went in to extract them injured. We're very, very fortunate tonight.
And again, 2 officers being treated tonight here at BAMC for gunshot wounds. And it's very likely that Chief has already made his way here to the hospital so he can be here for those officers and their families. Reporting live from the northeast side, Megan Reyna, KINS 5.
Thank you, Megan. And as you heard Alicia mention, this is the 21st shooting this year involving a San Antonio police officer. We will continue to follow the latest on this case online on KENS5.com and on air throughout the night and into our morning newscast starting at 4:30 a.m.
Meanwhile, new tonight, we are uncovering more